fantastic. This is GT racing right now.
He's got traction, he's got everything outside of both of them! Maloney!
Oh, he's taken Anderson! Anderson's up top here!
Oh my god! Big crash! Oh my goodness, half the field's gonna get rolled!
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, there we go!
Oh no! That's massive! This is it! This is over! I can't believe this! Oh my god!
God, what?
Not many people get this chance, get this opportunity because of the fact that this has a track that doesn't have many grid stalls, if English is actually something that works very well for me right now. But when it comes to Oulton, when it comes to a Ford Mustang, when it comes to Oulton Park, Little Budworth, Cheshire is the place where we have our battle for round 6 of the championship here today on the iRacing Esports Network and along with SimSpeed TV. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to everyone watching around the world as we enter the middle stages of the championship right now, and it's going to be something very entertaining to keep in mind. I'm Jake Sperry, joined alongside by Nick Skarajev here as we take a little look at what is going to be happening here at this Oulton Park circuit. A rather large circuit, but we're running the island format today. England is where we find ourselves here today. As we can see, there is Cardiff, there is London, there is Birmingham, and up near the Liverpool-Manchester section is the Oulton Park circuit, which effectively finds itself right nicely on the border with Wales, zooming down in, looking from a easterly perspective at the track. You can see it's very well hidden through a lot of forest and lakeside sections and all of the rest of it that makes this track so very, very fantastic. Watch out for the run down towards the island, hairpin through Hislops into Knickerbrook, and of course that Lodge corner with the deer leap down at the very, very end of the circuit. Nick, qualifying currently underway, 8 minutes, 2 laps to get yourself a time on the board, and it is James Scott who is the best of them all at the moment. 119.412, currently best at this point in time, but it seems like today is going to be a reduced strength of field. Some of the big names deciding that this is not the place they want to race, with things on the horizon such as Virginia.
Yeah, that's right, Jake. They're pretty spread out at the moment. So, yeah, I do think qualifying is going to heat up. We've still got about only a few minutes remaining now, as we see from Sam Batlock there. So you really want to try and get this grid spot done. It's a very tight track, quite narrow as well, so not too many natural overtaking positions.
Exactly, and that's the key. You've got to really position the car well. Heading through the Druids corner now is Sam Blacklock, double apex right-hander. So easy to go far too deep on the accelerator pedal and find yourself going off the track there, onto the brakes through the final corner, and you really have to be patient here because the track falls away from you down and up the deer leap and over towards the start-finish line. Some motorbikes do get air over that section, and Blacklock crosses the line in second then, just 1/10 off of teammate James Scott. It's an Altus 1-2 at the front of the field, with Corey Shepherd right now in the Premier Racing Team car in third place. Here is the Team Hyperdrive car of Josh Morris with the 6th gear imagery on the side, trying to make some progress here up the hill.
Yeah, just seeing him come along the straight now. So, yeah, quite hilly there. So as he comes down the hill hard on the brakes through that corner, as also we catch with Brian Borg. So we do have this really tight chicane section here. So, yeah, generally it would be like quite a high-speed kink, but it does slow the field down quite a lot, Jake.
Absolutely it does, and that's going to be key. Who can mastermind the Hislop section? You go down the hill, you can send one deep if you're brave, and Brian Borg in the Premier Racing Team looking to try and find a good qualifying at the moment. Currently in 12th on the 6th row with Corey Preston, but now on the brakes into the final couple of corners here at Lodge. You go up and down and all around. There's so much beautiful elevation change around this place, makes it a really good challenge. But Borgie across the line at the moment, it goes up to 7th there, only 0.4 of a second off a pole position. That's a great little time there from Brian Borg, exactly what he was hoping for then in terms of that run. Sam Blacklock still in second, still on a lap, but has just finished it. We just cycle on back ever so slightly. That's Michael Taliancic there in car number 4, trying to make some progress with about 40 seconds remaining here in this qualifying. And well, let's get through this really quickly right now. You've got some drivers trying to make that push to the line here, as Josh Morris, again, just having a few technical issues here. So he's not going to be in the best possible position for this one today. That's Greg Sharp there in the Stealth Simforce Penrite sponsored car. Of course, part of a brilliant outfit there as an esports team. But now we take ourselves over to the starting grid and see how this all plays out. James Scott then on pole position with Sam Blacklock alongside him, with Corey Shepherd and Adam Briggs 3rd and 4th. Briggs is the championship leader. Tom Freer starts 5th with Andrew Dyson in 6th. Brian Borg starting in 7th with Jack Widders in 8th. Darren Lobb starting this one from 9th, and it's Kyle George rounding out the top 10.
So outside the top 10 on row 6, Damien Johnson and Corey Preston. Row 7, Rob Bowden and Michael Taliancic. He'll be one to look out for. He just had a win earlier this evening. So Clint Shane Smith and Neil Pearson, Marty Hansen, James Chastanoff, Josh Morris and Samuel Collins rounding out the top 20.
And 6 more drivers to keep in mind. Thomas Hinz, poor qualifying today. He's all the way back down in 21st position in the Ratu car. Then you've got Greg Sharp, Robin Kirk there with Thomas McMillan in 24th, Mitchell McLeod in 25th, and a driver suffering from technical issues and not being able to get a time on the board, being Christian Smart in the Gone Rogue Motorsports outfit. But there's your championship standings. Adam Briggs top of the times at 973 points. Jake Burton not here today. Jake Maloney not here today. Madison Down not here today. Nor is Jordan Caruso, who's not on this board. But likes for Corey Shepherd, Damien Johnstone and co, all to score points. That consistency is going to be good. But those 4 drop rounds over the 13 weeks, they are going to really play a very important role here today. They're going to play that part very interestingly, and we're going to see how Adam Briggs will try and put a little bit of a buffer margin today on a Jake Burton who is moving from Western Australia over to Victoria. But there is the front row of your grid. It is Altus Colours 1 and 2. There is the Premier Racing Team car in 3rd. It's 40 laps of racing today, so it's going to be a lot of laps going quickly, very quickly. There's the green flag. Let's get ourselves going. There's the new DPR cars in the second row as they all funnel through towards the Old Lodge corner. Turn number 1. Immediately down the inside looks Briggs, and one off there already. That's Brian Borg, who I think's run into troubles and is in the tyres then at turn number 1. Not ideal. Look at Adam Briggs. He's fighting for 3rd already here in a simrigs.com DPR car round the outside of the Cascade, and now looking down for the inside here as they come to the island hairpin.
Yeah, that's right. Corey Shepherd sitting quite close near the front there as they go too wide into that hairpin. So they'll need to fill in the throttle there to ease it out. They all kind of make it through. So quite surprised to see them get through the first couple of corners cleanly, Jake.
Yep, they've done very well. Some side-by-side in the background there. That is one of the Valvoline-sponsored cars there. And going on through, that's Jack Widders finding a way on Kyle George for 7th and 8th place. So a very accomplished move in the early stages. Now Damien Johnstone will want to get in on this one. Just behind as they head up the hill past the water tower on the left-hand side and on the brakes into this very tough Druids right-hand corner, which shares its name with, of course, Druids, turn number 2. At one Brands Hatch circuit. Here comes Johnstone looking at the move down the final corner. He's gone very deep in and has been able to check it up as well. Yeah,
absolutely got Kyle George there right on that apex. It was a pretty tight gap there as they crossed the line onto lap 2.
Just absolutely.
Sorry, Jake.
Sorry to cut you thunder there. That is Michael Taliancic and Rob Bowden going at it. And look at this, an up and under.
Yeah, Michael Taliancic, so we were catching. He did win the last split just before, so plenty of laps under his belt today. So yeah, he's doing a good job there keeping Rob Bowden behind.
He's up in 12th place at the moment. Clint Shane Smith, part of the Premier Racing Team, just behind as well in the AOC sponsored car. But you can see Bowden's got a nose to the inside, but he has no drive coming out to the island hairpin as they head to Shaka Hislop's corners. And now on the brakes they go. And this chicane is very tough. You've got those very, very tough tyre bundles on the front, very similar to the Daytona Rallycross course. Of course, they're not going to be able to move as there's your race leader, second and third Adam Briggs there trying to get into the mix right now. But it's those tyre bundles that are going to play a key factor today. One small mistake in the front splitter and the front nose is going pretty much everywhere across the track.
Yeah, that's it. On a few of the other corners, you can take quite a lot of curb, but those tire bundles are quite strategic where they're placed. They're right on the edge of that rumble strip there. So yeah, you've got to be super, super careful.
Absolutely, and another thing to keep in mind is instant points as Adam Briggs sets the fastest lap on lap 2, a 1:19.9, as he tries to chase down Sam Blacklock for second place. There's his teammate, though, Darren Lobb, being chased by the ever enigmatic Corey Preston. Some would say he's explosive as a driver for a number of reasons, and he'll be looking to try and find himself a very good result here today. 11th place, didn't make much progress off at the start, but he's looking to try and get this one working. That's opportunistic down the inside. Darren Lobb has to leave the room at the hairpin there to avoid any contact. And Corey Preston, that is a very, very aggressive move to get that place.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jake. It's so tight around here. You really need to force a move if you want to make it stick. And we've just seen him right on the back there, feeding in that power just as they come out of that right-hander there and try and get the drive onto the straight.
The Expo Gaming car then inside the top 10 for the first time in this race. We're on lap 3 of 40, but keep an eye today, Nick, on the instant points. This track is notorious for how tight and how strict instant points can be. So we might see drivers today as track temps 39 degrees on track, 21 degrees in the air. It's a nice summer's day here up north in Cheshire, England. But it's those instant points. 17 gets you a drive-through penalty. 25 will get you a disqualification. James Scott sets the fastest lap of the race then on lap 3. This is going to be very entertaining to watch. Drivers need to drive within the lines.
Yeah, and that's exactly right. And it is 40 laps. And even though being a sprint race, it is quite long. Just seeing a brake lock up there. So yeah, almost an hour of racing. And those incident points will rack up if you make those mistakes.
Darren Lobb on the brakes, trying to close the door in on Corey Preston, gives him a couple taps, gives him a turn as well on the rear quarter panel. So that's not going to be helping out Darren Lobb there, having himself a bit of a moment, and that's not going to make Corey Preston very happy. He's someone who is quite vocal when it comes to the in-game communications on radio. And now look at the train. There's Michael Taliancic trying to find a way through as they head now through Knickerbrook Corner, which of course is a little bit slower than it would be if it was a flat-out, fast-paced right-hander. But ultimately, look at the train staying in line. That mid to late pack is all going to be fighting here in the early stages. One stop required today and a motor simulation replay as we try and get a little look at exactly what happened to Josh Morris then coming down the Cascades.
Yeah, just looking at Josh Morris, he is sitting behind Chasanoff at the moment. Just seeing if there's a little bit of movement. Yeah, it looks a bit... Yeah, Hin's picking a really good gap there. It was very, very tight. Trying to get the power in early. You're hearing the cars are shifting early as they come out of that really slow corner.
It's such a slow corner and you don't quite know where to brake with the high and long noses that these front engine vehicles have. It's going to always be a very, very tough challenge. Try and make sure that you know exactly where to brake. Corey Preston still in 10th place right now, having a good run of things. Your top 5, Scott, Blacklock, Briggs, Shepherd and Tom Freer make the top 5. Andrew Dyson currently in 6th place. So those are the top 6 at the moment, but this is 10th on backwards. You can see just how much of a train game that you've got around this place. It's almost like watching the Monaco Grand Prix in some respects, because it is so tough to go and find an overtake, and all of a sudden you're pretty much just sitting behind a driver, and there's a mistake for a driver right there in the back shot that we just caught, and I think that's Josh Morris who's going to lose 2 places side by side. Up the hill, and he gets grass as he comes up then. The rise through the water tower and loses the place to Mitch McLeod, a former champion.
Yeah, just seeing him come onto the straight now. So, yeah, Mitch McLeod up 6 spots from the back of the field. So not qualifying all that well, but showing a lot of good race pace at the moment.
He certainly is. Mitch McLeod hasn't had the ability to show that qualifying pace in recent years. We'll catch a motor simulation replay then of what happened Josh Morris going through Knickerbrook then here, and he just catches grass on entry, so easy to do, has a big slide. McMillan gets a freebie, and then look at the work then that the talking car has to do then. Goes onto the inside and almost crowds off there Josh Morris from the circuit. That is effectively a welcome to the top split, my friend.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think he used all of the steering lock there on that Mustang, so very, very lucky to save it. Was going pretty quick as well, as we're on board with Rob Bowden behind Taliancic. Coming down hard on the brakes now into this chicane here. Keeping it nice and tight, so they have spread out a little bit. I wasn't too sure how these battle packs would sort themselves out in the early stages, so yeah, still quite a few more laps to go. You really want to be able to tip those laps away.
Exactly, and these laps are going by really quickly. You're already on lap 6, going to lap 7 in just a moment's time as they head through the Druids corner, and that very iconic tanked SRT livery there of Rob Bowden trying to chase down one of the main men behind Pursuit Sim Racing's success, and that is Michael Taliancic. So we'll see how this battle looks to all develop here. Of course, that one pit stop, it's worth keeping in mind, that pit entry is so deadly when you get on in because it narrows down to almost single file.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and you do have to come very slightly off the racing line as well, so yeah, be super, super careful coming off the line and hard on those brakes to make the pit entry.
Here's Andrew Dyson trying to find a way through on Tom Free in the battle. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th pushing through the corner, trying to open up the door. This is Robbins Racing's son as they now start to make their way up the rise and back down again. Here as they head towards Hislop's chicane, and on the brakes Tom Fridge doing what he needs to at this stage. Keep the pack behind. Motum Simulation replay then we grab on screen, and this is why Tom Freer lost so much time. He had about half a second's worth of gap heading in towards turn number 1, catches grass on entry, has to try and open out the steering, runs wide on exit, and ultimately Andrew Dyson is then given a license to attack.
Yeah, super lucky there for Tom Frere to catch it. That runoff is so short, as we saw on lap 1. Brian Borg was straight into the wall there, so yeah, not a lot of margin for error. So great work for Tom Frere to get it all back happening again.
And you've got the likes of Jack Widders and Damien Johnstone who are refusing to let go off of the back of the train, and this may just be a case of strategy plays a key factor in this race here. We're already a fifth of the way through this one, and what will be key then for those drivers who find themselves in a pack is maybe pitting, getting themselves a bit of fresh air. They have to take fuel, they have to take tyres because of the fact that it's just going to be that little bit quicker. You can see Damien Johnstone there right at the top of shot, having a big wiggle going through turn 3 of the Cascades. Now on the brakes into the hairpin, and you can see how everyone goes through. It's not a natural looking hairpin, it's not smooth, it's very jagged, it's a very rough hairpin, and that's going to make life difficult for drivers to try and find a way on through because it's so inviting on entry, and then you've got that very tight section right in the middle.
Yeah, just seeing those tyre bundles and stuff go past as they open it up. So they have this right-hander. You can see all the cars switching as we just see some of Josh Morris with who's in the back of there? Oh, sorry, Robin Kirk. So
went on through
right down the back. So yeah,
that's absolutely fine. We're seeing some brilliant battling going on, as I think we tripped over each other about 5 times looking at this. So Josh Morris then trying to get, oh my goodness me, he's gone for a huge spin then, does a nice little 360, and somehow nicely done on the brakes for Robin Kirk then. In the DPR car, just about getting out of the way of that. So that would not have been a sight to see a car the wrong way going on through. Here's Mitch McLeod trying to get by Greg Sharp, who's missing the boot, and now that's not going to be very helpful going on through. It seems like Greg Sharp has been beaten from pillar to post.
Yeah, not very good for either. This track, you can get held up if you've got a slower car in front. These gaps are really tight to pull, so hopefully Mitch McLeod can catch him on a sweeper where he can use that aerodynamic advantage.
Well, here's the chance there. Mitch McLeod looking for the inside as they get on the brakes into the island hairpin. It's the prime place to get it done, and well, someone who'll be looking for a Twitch Prime is Mitchell McLeod, and he's got the move. And now looking behind, there is Greg Sharp, who will have a little bit of Brian Borg on the recovery, trying to get through soon. It's very tough to get the move done at Hislop, so has to stay in line.
Yeah, and Brian Borg will be on quite a charge, so yeah, down 14 positions from his qualifying spot, so he will be the faster car on the track for a whole bunch of these cars. Jake, I've just casted my eyes near the start as well. So James Scott and Blacklock both putting down almost identical lap times and also being a few tenths faster than the rest of the field. So Altus are absolutely nailing it at the moment by getting these consistent laps in.
It's key. It's 3 seconds now for James Scott at the front of the field. It's 1.4 between Blacklock and Briggs and 1.4 between Briggs and Shepherd. But you can see how the field goes through. Look at Michael Taliancic for the moment, starting to chase down Darren Lobb in the simrace.com. Fantastic DPR car that's trying to get itself into a pretty good position right now. Currently in 11th, falling back off of Corey Preston. And that's the last thing that you want to see. It's different vehicles though. It is the Mustang against the Holden. There is no difference when it comes to the iRacing service. They effectively have the same everything as they go on through, so there's no complaints about parity. But now they hit the brakes, they go down the hill, now hitting the brakes as they go into the right and the left. And pretty much for the moment, Michael Taliancic would want to get through quickly because Corey Preston starts to get held up by Kyle George.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I have noticed too with Darren Lobb, so that's a great new paint that they're now running with the Simrigs paint there, is we're catching some of the imagery now. So yeah, we've got them just coming around the back of the track now, pretty spread out, so no real aero advantage at the moment. So it's more about just trying to just get that little bit deeper under brakes than the car in front.
Exactly, there you can see the pit entry. It's so difficult. You've got that tyre on the inside, you have to slow and turn at the same time, which is something that these vehicles do not like. And then you've got that line which of course funnels into the pit lane, which can often lead to dramas. There is still Darren Lobb in 11th position right now and just holding station, and I think that drivers will be looking at strategy here on lap 11 of 40. This is about as early as the window will probably let you come in, make a stop, get back going again. And for someone like maybe Greg Sharp, for example, you could talk about as Preston takes the narrow line through the hairpin there with Kyle George just in front. Maybe it might be Greg Sharp who decides to take the pit stop first with the damage to the rear.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And another thing about that pit stop as well, it's like you fade out right, then to left, then a right, then a left again while you're washing off speed. So quite a lot of handful. We have seen in some of the development races some of the cars spinning as they come into the pit road. So I reckon we'll be in for a bit of excitement in that.
This is James Chastaneuf here in a scrap for 16th place. Thomas Hind in the RA2 Supercar trying to get as close as possible here. The gap half a second right now as they head up past the water tower and into Druids Corner. And you can see just how tough this section of road is. It's all about putting the power down on the exit to have the run towards Lodge, and there is so many bumps as you go over this section, and this is a real suspension tester, this circuit. You have to have a car that is very responsive and adapt to pretty much every section of road.
Yeah, and as you can hear on the onboard as well, as they bridge those crests as well, they've just got to ease off the throttle because it can be so quick about spinning the car. So yeah, throttle application is really key, as well as holding the brakes as well, because we've got these really slow hairpins as we see Tom Free and Andrew Dyson 0.2 of a second behind. Dyson getting a really good run out on that straight there, hopefully lining up for this chicane coming down here.
Not in position, but nose to tail. Freer kicked the tail out slightly coming out to the island hairpin, and that was always going to be tough going through there to put the power down. It's the slowest point on the circuit and the tyres are screaming to put the power down, but there's so much torque that goes through the rear axle of these vehicles, and it's not like this is a four-wheel drive car either, so that makes life doubly difficult for drivers to try and get everything working. Again, a little wiggle for Tom Freer, who's starting now to sense that the rear tyres may be going away.
Yeah, that's it. We do have a pretty hot track at the moment, so degradation is going to prove a bit of an issue. It is quite overcast at the moment, but yeah, I think we're around the high 30s there for track temperature, so we will see these tyres degrade over this duration of this stint.
And that's going to be something worth keeping an eye out on. One driver is 2 laps down in this event. That is Christian Smart at the moment. Mitchell McLeod, though, has got Brian Borg trying to find a way back through, and at the moment in towards turn number 1. Wide goes Brian Borg. He'll find grass. Save it, just about does so, and very fortunate there is that little bit of grass seed there on the outside which promotes that little bit of growth. There is Greg Sharp trying down the inside of the Cascades. Wide line taken then by Brian Borg, and position has to remain where it is.
Yeah, great work there by Brian Borg, closing that door as we just see Greg on the back as well, locking up the brakes again. So yeah, Brian Borg really overdriving that car, trying to keep in front at the moment.
A little bit of argy-bargy between those two. Brian Bull going, what was that? Sticking your nose down the inside, and Greg Shupp saying, no, I'm encouraging you. Please go on forward. I'm in no position to battle. There's James Scott, your race leader here, going on to lap 14 of the event. 3.6 seconds clear at the moment, but Sam Blacklock starting to again fall into the clutches of Adam Briggs. There is Corey Shepherd in the Mr. Antenna Premier Esports, Premier Racing Team car there, and there is the fight. 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th at the moment, soon to become only 5th, 6th and 7th, with Johnstone nearly a second off the back. But Jack Widders here having a really quiet race, and this is what he needs. He's someone who sticks his nose in, goes for aggressive moves, but someone who I think just needs to dial it back a little bit, play the patient race from time to time, and maybe those results will really start racking up for car 7 in position 7.
Yeah, that's exactly right, Jake. I was looking to the front of the field as they just went past it. Adam Briggs getting that gap now to Sam Blacklock just under a second. It has come back out a little bit, but yeah, almost 0.4 of a second faster on the other on the last lap there. So I do think we will see Adam Briggs on the back of Blacklock in the next few laps or so.
Depends if Blacklock responds, and it looks like he has done over this lap, and will be looking to just try and get things going. We've been on board with Jack Widders this entire time, up the rise, past the water tower, and now into that Druids corner, which of course is so difficult to get a move done there. But look at this, Michael Taliancic might try anyway, almost tyres on the grass, has the inside for the Druids corner, and it's going to be a case of contact going through, and they just save it. Now Clint Shane Smith onto the seat, has to tap the brakes because he didn't know which way these drivers were going to go. Taliancic still trying to put a nose down the inside at Lodge corner, and for the time being, it's still side by side, so they take the near run.
Yeah, as they come over that start-finish line again, side by side, Taliancic down on the inside of Rob Bowden. Rob Bowden yielding that position now, trying to come back on the crossover again, but great piece of car work there. Rob Bowden back in front again. They've almost done a complete lap side by side. Taliancic did make a mistake earlier, inviting Rob Bowden in. Might be able to get a replay of that, but yeah, as they come around again.
It's not done. Here looks Bowden on the inside. Then they've got themselves a little wide, did Taliancic, and now he's got to put the power down, but the rears cycle up, and that's not going to help Rob Bowden, which took almost an entire lap to try and get the move done, has got it. So we'll get the Motum Simulation replay and see exactly how all of this has happened, as I do believe I've just lost picture of exactly how it happened. Here it is going on through, but there's the right then that comes along, and that's a huge slide going through the corner. That was Taliancic losing the spot, but it took nearly a whole lap to guarantee it then, Nick.
Yeah, great aggressive moves there by Taliancic. He almost thought he was just going to give that position to Rob Bowden, but he's like, no, I am side by side. I'm going to make you work for this. And yeah, thankfully not sending Rob Bowden into the grass there.
It was so easy to spin the car in front. That's not the way that these racers like to race. And Taliancic there on the inside tried everything, but ultimately was just not enough. Now we've got Pitters Central, and this is a tough pit entry as well. Those cars who have the early boxes then around P15 will not be in good place. So it looks like Damien Johnstone and Jack Widders have come down in, and Johnstone's had a great stop. He's right behind Widders.
Yeah, Johnston getting a really good lap. So yeah, entering the track, he will come in around 21st position there with Damien Johnston right on the back of him. So yeah, a few of the early pitters trying to take this gamble here to see if this extra laps later on might pay off on these tyres.
Exactly, and he gets a slide as he gets on going, and now we're in this stage where every pit stop means something. There is second position Sam Blacklock, third just behind of Adam Briggs, and will be trying to work as much as possible as they go on through. James Scott continues on his race, looking to try and go as long as possible. Sam Blacklock there in second. Your front four all yet to come down in and make that stop at the moment, but we're just on the start of that window as in comes Andrew Dyson. He's had enough of looking at the back at Tom Freer's Pursuit sim racing car, and in comes Kyle George and Corey Preston, and look how aggressive Preston was on the lane.
Yeah, you can physically see that distance that Corey Preston made up there just by being that little bit more aggressive into the pits. So especially on this track, absolutely every 10th counts, and I reckon he made a few tenths in that spot then.
Exactly, and that's the key. Pit entry is something that isn't normally talked about much as a place to gain time, but the very, very best always seem to find it. Hinsey and Chastaneuf then, 11th and 10th, and Chastaneuf then in the Ford car. You can tell it's a Ford, it says Ford on the back and on the side, looking towards the island hairpin. Not quite there, and it seems at the moment that the Banter Alliance, I do believe it says on the back, is going well at the moment. Well, James, if you like the Banter Alliance, there's something on week 13 that you may want to join in on the brakes down the hill into the right left. And at the moment, it seems like he has got himself nicely where he wants to.
Yeah, that's an excellent plug for Max Band. So there's James Chastaneuf. We're just catching a few of the Altus cars up at the front. We know James Scott's sticking out, all three. So Scott, Blacklock and Briggs all staying out. Corey Shepherd coming through. So a little bit of a waiting game. They're not really holding each other up at the moment. Just seeing Corey Shepherd and Darren Lobb coming through. So yeah, most of the front of the field at the moment willing to stick it out. Getting pretty close here to the halfway mark as we see Chastaneuf coming in.
Exactly, on the brakes through the left, gets on the limiter very, very early. You could see the blue LED display lights up, and that is Thomas McMillan, who's got to do a little bit of evasive action with that very egregious arm coat there on the inside of the circuit. Neil Pearson also decides to take the call to come down in. Now here's Andrew Dyson. He's coming to make that stop, and he's only just ahead of Jack Widders, so not much has really been lost in terms of that. But look at where they come out with. That's one vehicle coming out. Is that Chastaneuf who's just come out ahead of everyone? It is.
Yeah, that is Chastaneuf. So up 6 positions.
That might be instants that we're looking at here for 17 instant points. It's so easy to pick up one here, one there. So James Chastaneuf, that was a very quick stop, and I don't think that stop was necessarily for fuel and tyres.
Yeah. If that was for a penalty, it didn't seem to have slowed him up all that often because he's still currently up 6 positions, so not too sure what's gone on there. But anyways, as we're catching him come through the chicane now, Jake.
Yeah, this is disaster now for Andrew Dyson and co because they wanted to catch on Tom Free. Now they've got to find a way past James Chastaneuf into the pits. Then comes Adam Briggs, the championship leader. Corey Shepherd just behind him, also diving down onto the lane. That puts Tom Freer in third. But look at this, stuck at the Druids corner behind the Banter Alliance Ford. And now looking to the inside is Andrew Dyson. He'll have to send one here if he wants to get this one done. And on the brakes, he has it sorted. And look at this, 1, 2, 3, all through at the same time. That is what you call being freight trained.
Yeah, there was looked like there might have been a little bit of a hip check as we see Chastaneuf come back into the pits again. So must have been a penalty serve. So
I wonder if he just missed his box because it was so early.
Yeah, I was a bit unsure about that. So anyway,
Look at where his pit box is right now here, Nick. It's the very first pit box, and look how early it is. You have to go hard right to find it, as Corey Shepherd right now has got to deal with another DPR car out on track in the form of Robin Kirk.
Almost is like he needs to, it's almost behind the fence as we just see these cars come out of that hairpin now. We're on board with Damien Johnston. Yeah, so a bit unsure what's happened to Chastaneuf and where that'll put him now. Surely coming through the pit lane twice is definitely going to put him through and put him further down the back of the pack.
I think it certainly will, as drivers will be looking to try and get everything they possibly can out of this one. Then Damien Johnstone in 12th place on the road at the moment, staring at the front. Oh, sorry, staring at the back, sorry. He's at the back of this train looking forward as Sam Blacklock from second place has to cover off Adam Briggs as Darren Lobb also dives in the Simrigs.com DPR car as these two continue on. But you've got the likes then of Corey Shepherd and co. in this pack right now, Dyson and Widders, and there also is Damien Johnstone all together having a nice little scrap of things. But the key here is that the pit stops haven't changed the order, and this will have to be done on track.
Yeah, as we're just passing the halfway mark now, so yeah, lap 20 of 40, you'd almost think that it'd be nearly worth trying to stick it out just a little bit longer so you can just have that little bit in the tank when it comes to these battles later on, as we're looking back towards Damien Johnston.
Yep, and Jack Widders at the moment in the middle of this train will be hoping that he's going to find himself an opportunity through on Dyson, but you can see just how these vehicles just close on up. Grumpy graphics down at the bottom, and well, Damien Johnstone won't be grumpy, but he will be a little bit miffed that he has to stare at the back. Now look at this for the stop. Sam Blacklock has only got 0.6 of a second now over Adam Briggs, who has closed up in the stop, and it was Adam Briggs, the second fastest stop of anybody so far, so that one's worked. In comes the race leader, James Scott, right to the very end of pit lane. He should regain the race lead, but Tom Freer staying out for his 21st revolution.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting for Tom Freer. You'd nearly think that both the Altus cars would be coming in. Oh, sorry, as they come into the start-finish straight, you'd almost think that it'd be... No, they are staying out there, so different... Oh, sorry, they've already pitted. So, yeah, slightly different strategy between the two Altus esports cars. So,
there they go, through the front stretch, and they're in front by a sizable margin will be James Scott, and that sizable margin is 3.6 seconds. There they are in the background, and that is the margin for the net race lead at the moment. Adam Briggs searching left, searching right behind, trying to find things. That's Tom Freer on screen right now. He is your race leader at the moment, but he's due to come in along with Michael Taliancic and Marty Hansen. They're in the Boat Repairs Redback Racing Team car in third place. So those drivers, those teams, all thinking about, okay, how long can we stretch this and get ourselves the biggest advantage? That's Corey Preston, and that's Kyle George on the outside, which will soon be the inside again for Corey Preston as they head down towards his lots. And here's a rare sight, a move down on the brakes into the chicane, and Preston's got it signed, sealed and delivered.
Great work by Preston, hard on those brakes there, down that hill, a little bit of a slide coming out, so absolutely got one over there on Kyle George. See if he can come back in the next few corners as we're just catching Taliancic come over the start-finish straight. A few of the other cars down in the back.
Exactly, and this is the big issue. Now, some multi-orders may be needed. Robin Kirk has yet to make a stop here and immediately dives down into the lane, allowing one Mr. Andrew Dyson to just break away ever so slightly. That was well coordinated. Kirk needed to come down in for fuel and tyres, but there you can see there Corey Preston, who is through on the United car of Kyle George, and with everything that's going on right now, Kyle George in 12th place at the moment with a handful of drivers yet to stop. Should be out ahead of Taliancic, ahead of Hansen, so that will put Kyle George net 10th, I'd say, on the road.
That's exactly right, and we're just seeing him, just see that little bump there as they come into the lakeside hairpin. Super fast part of the track coming into quite a slow up over the crest here. So yeah, this is where he got him on the last lap. Kyle George not seeming like he has the pace at the moment, so he has slightly put a few car lengths behind as we just catching a few of the other Holdens here on the hairpin.
Yeah, that's Mitch McLeod trying to go around the outside of Thomas McMillan, two drivers who in the past have been right up there at the very top but do not have that sort of pace at this moment in time. For 18th and 19th, I think it's quite disappointing to see both of them down the order. They know they can both do a little bit better, but Mitch McLeod will be happy as someone who is more dedicated now to the Twitch side of streaming races more rather than being out and out fast, going up the hill past the water tower there on the left, and now on the brakes again, and ultimately Thomas McMillan just holding station right now, doing enough. Little slide on the exit though, this could be a chance.
Yeah, as they come through, if he can get that, oh yeah, great inside line there, coming into Lodge Corner as they go through Deer Lip. A little bit of feedback there from the car as they cross the line. Great work there, so yeah, a little bit unfortunate there for Thomas McMillan, but still in with a bit of a chance.
Not sure how much McMillan's going to like that one. That was very forceful from Mitch McLeod. He almost said, I'm taking the racing line. You've either got to go on the grass or just cop the hit, so to speak. And ultimately it was cop the hit from Thomas McMillan. This is Widdowson Johnstone, 9th and 10th through Knickerbrook Corner, and now up the hill once again. So for the time being, they're staying in their similar positions, but this has been the big issue. Drivers who have been close, who have been running there together, who just cannot find that magical formula to get that move done, and it's a very frustrating feeling being stuck behind another driver. You get bogged down, you get frustrated, and then you go for chances that maybe are 50%, 40%, 30% moves, and that's the worry for Damien Johnstone right now, going for the wrong move at the wrong time. He's got to work for the mistake as into the pits comes Marty Hansen. So
yes,
what we're hearing here is that Marty Hansen had to back down the lane because he missed his box because it was so early. Very much just about getting away with it ever so slightly, but not having to come in for a second time there, Nick, like James Chastanerf did.
Yeah, James Chastanoff, super unfortunate for that. So hopefully we won't see too much more of that later on in the series. But yeah, Oulton Park does seem to, as we've seen, has caught a few people out with these numbers on this track.
Exactly, and that's the key. It's a very early pit box, and you're always trying to cram in as many drivers as you can around this place. This is not a large facility by any stretch of the imagination, as Jack Willis, Damien Johnstone, 8th and 9th position at the moment. Martin Hansen has come back out on track. He is in 17th place at the moment, but still, it's the two pursuit cars who have yet to come down in and make their stop. Tom Freer and Michael Taliancic going on their 25th lap then of this race, and this is a very interesting call right now because James Scott is only 2.3 seconds behind right now as these two continue to scrap out on the screen, not quite in a close enough position to have any changes. But there's James Scott. See that gap? It's down to 2.1 seconds between Scott and Taliancic.
Yeah, and that gap is going to close. So James Scott, it might be a little bit of a nervous time because he will be up on the back of Taliancic in the next couple of corners. He won't want to be slowed up because he does have a very fast Sam Blacklock and Adam Briggs right on his tail.
But the key is he's built that gap up over the start of this race. It's 4.4 seconds at the moment as those two who we've had a good eye on for the last lap are on screen and trying to get through the corner as much as possible. You need a lot of turning for that hairpin, but they stay exactly where they are at the moment. Jack Willis and Damien Johnstone out on circuit, so they are nicely done. No retirements so far from this event, and that's something great to see through 25 laps. This has been a very clean race by comparison to others this season.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Even with a few accidents that we had on the lap one, we have seen him stay out on track and try and claw those positions back. So we have seen Brian Borgstow all the way back up in 16th place. So not forgetting he was dropped all the way down the back of that field with that turn 1 incident.
Exactly, and at the moment, Jack Willis here in 8th place, looking to try and just hold off. But this is the issue with Jack Willis at the moment. He's been trying to run his own race. He's been so concerned with Damien Johnstone behind that he's almost let the dog off the lead a little bit, and Andrew Dyson has walked away to a gap of around about 3 seconds.
Yeah, we're just seeing him spread out that little bit, so still a bit more to go. So you think that he potentially might be trying to conserve tyres a little bit for a bit more of a late lap dash there. As we're seeing him. Oh, sorry, Jake.
No, it's absolutely fine. I should check my rounding. 2.1 seconds is definitely not closer to 3. But there's Tom Freer. There's Michael Taliancic in the position right now. He's half a second now, the gap actually between himself and Scott. So Tom Freer in control. But look at what James Scott has run onto the back of right now. Taliancic here has got to be very cautious. He knows that James Scott is the race leader, is a lot quicker. And I think he may just decide to peel off onto the lane here this time by knowing that the race leader has caught him. I've been in this position many a time before, but I keep finding myself going a whole pit stop down. There you can see, takes the right-hand side, dives down onto the lane. Taliancic there, all locking the inside front as he hits the lane.
Yeah, they're very lucky there to pull it up, as you can just see that big black strip there that he's from locking up there inside. The two DPR cars there side by side as Robin Kirk on an absolute blinder at the moment there, and Neil Pearson as well. So great showing here from DPR. Just see Chastanoff in that distance there. So we're just seeing some of the other field.
Trying to get absolutely back into it then. This is Clint Shane Smith and Thomas Hinds for 14th place at the moment. Clint Shane Smith has got to play the defence game. Thomas Hinds has got to find a way through now. Look who's going to come out in the middle of this. That is Michael Taliancic just in front of them. So suddenly, Clint's got a little bit of defence. Get up with inside a second. He'll have the draft to almost cover off any move that happens.
Yeah, so Taliancic, that pit stop has put him just outside the top 10 now. So potentially maybe hanging it out just that little bit longer might pay off. Still got about 13 laps to go or so. We'll just see when Tom Freer pulls in. Surely, as we see now, yeah.
Oh, a little bit of a wiggle. You can see he's in 3rd gear right now, trying to get down the lane. So that's not going to be very useful for him when he tries to get back off and going again. He'll have to try and shift that one down, but he was just so desperate. Get on the lane. I found that very interesting, not using engine braking, as James Scott retains the race lead then of the race overall. You've got their second position, Sam Blacklock. Adam Briggs, the championship leader, comfortably running here in third place, trying to get a good points haul in the back pocket and trying to make that work. And it's fine for the moment as they head on through this left-hand corner of Cascades and past the lake on the left-hand side towards the island hairpin. This is the island layout of the circuit. One of the few tracks in iRacing you could really say here, Nick, that has probably about 7 or 8 different layouts, and I think pretty much all of them are pretty good to very, very excellent.
Yeah, that's right. And excellent is exactly what we're seeing. I was just having a look at the lap time. So a 1:20.3 for both Blacklock and Briggs. So you can't even really put a sheet of paper between them as we're on board with Tom Freer.
He's lost a lot of time in the stop by going long, so he's now got to make the moves. He's behind Johnstone, he's behind Widders, and he's behind Dyson. Oh, and there goes Tom Freer. Big snap of oversteer as he went through the second part of Hislops. He finds himself in the kitty litter. Mow a bit of grass, why don't you? And behind now, Darren Lobb. He's outside the top 10.
Yeah, so Tom Freer possibly caught out there by maybe a bit of cold tyres, just a little bit too much coming out of it as we're just seeing that little battle now between Blacklock and Briggs at the moment. 6/10 between them.
Sam Blacklock's got the fresher tyres and is trying to go through. I will say that the dash there on the front of the screen is stationary at 298 kilometers an hour. They're not going that quick, but keep an eye on the gear on the steering wheel. That's a more better representative right now as they hit the brakes and go down into the island hairpin. Wider line taken there by Sam Blacklock. He's trying to open up the exits, and that's what you're traditionally taught when it comes to corners. You're slow in and you're fast out.
Yeah, and very slow in. We did see him come all the way down into first gear, so they do try and short shift as they come up that hill because, yeah, first gear in a V8 supercar is just absolute wheel spin central.
And wheel spin central is the last thing that anybody wants to be doing. These Australian touring cars have proven time and time again that there is some brilliant racing that comes out of them. And look how much they take out of the water tower section there as they get up on 2 wheels, trying to get as much as they can to go and attack future sections of road out on circuit. So now it's all about picking up place upon place upon place. Those drivers now inside the final, what will be 12 laps to go. No, 11 laps to go now. We'll be looking at what's the one position that I can get. Kyle George is looking at holding back that simrigs.com DPR car, which Darren Lobb is trying very, very desperately to get on by.
Yeah, so Jake, I did want to ask you, so at the start you were talking about incident points. How have we gone in the way of incident points? I do think we've seen a few cars up around the 14-15 mark, so hopefully they can hold it off for the next 10 laps or so.
Well, I don't have that information because, of course, to get that information in an iRacing official event, you need to be an admin of the session. So the only people who can give me that information would be the iRacing staff. So I won't be able to give you that sort of information here today. But Kyle George at the moment here, he is under so much pressure because remember, Tom Freer's got the freshest tyres of anybody in the field, and he will have bit between the teeth after spinning the car outside of the 5th place finish that he was going to be getting, and now he may not even get a top 10.
Yeah, we might see that red mist descend a little bit over Tom Freer, so just making a mistake as he did just here through the through that chicane on the last lap, so trying to make a few spots back. He will be the fastest of these 3, especially with the fresh tyres that he's got on.
Exactly, and he will want to try and get through quickly, but this is such a tough circuit to find a move. Really closing up through the Druids double apex right, and now putting the power on the exit here. Darren Lobb's got to be careful, angling for the inside, but Lobb's trying to half feign that he's going to go aggressive. Freer has really lifted on the brakes there, right to the inside, and Darren Lobb's got nothing for that. Tom Freer comfortably picks up the move, and that's just what you need to do. You just need to get the slightest bit of overlap, and they have to give you a little bit of room.
Yeah, we've seen quite a few overtake moves from that lodge corner, so you're pretty good overspoilers. We've just seen Pearson off.
Yep, and backwards. We're not going to be able to get a replay of it, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. But that is Pearson, who was down in about 23rd position, going for a big, big moment there. And that looked like he was in the middle of no man's land. So I have absolutely no idea where that could be. That could have been actually out of 1, down the hill at 2.
Yeah, he's definitely on some grass somewhere and was facing the wrong way as we're just seeing, oh, here we go.
There he is.
Yeah, doing his own mowing there down the straight there. seeing his DPR teammate go past. So yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Neil Pearson.
Well, that's another idea if you want to try and get some sponsorship there, DPR. Ask a lawnmower company, why don't you? But you got Tom Free here trying to attack Kyle George and the United car right now as they go in towards the next right, double apex right of Druids here. And now Free is going to try and set up the run, same way he did last lap on Darren Lobb. He's slightly further back this time, so this is going to have to be brave if he tries it, but nope. Not quite there just yet, but he's got time on his side if he wants to get the run out of this corner, up the deer run, and maybe have a big lunge at turn number 1. It's not a natural place to make the move, but look at that. Kyle George is defending against Tom Freer.
Yeah, as we've seen on those onboard shots, up and down again. It's almost
The lights.
The lights are on, so Tom Freer, very much wants to get past. Bit like a roller coaster, this Oulton Park circuit.
Distraction tactics now coming in from Tom Freer. Wants to try and do everything to unsettle the United car in front. On the brakes into the island hairpin, and now has to really get good on the run. Maybe slightly contact there as they went through the hairpin, but ultimately it's opened the door here for Tom Freer. Look at this, look how close they are, and I think George has just backed out of that one potentially, and yes he has, because Tom Freer was saying, I'm going through whether you like it or you don't.
That was absolutely excellent there from Tom Freer, really lining up that hairpin corner and just powering past Kyle George, who yielded that position there as we just see a few of the cars behind him as they come through.
Yeah, doing a good job at the moment. Darren Lobb currently in 11th position. Rob Bowden there in 12th, trying to chase on down this pack of cars just outside the top 10. We've got not long left in terms of how this race has got to run. Second and third, still close, 7/10 of a second between them right now, but that's an issue. It's only 7/10, it's not closing. Sam Blacklock is keeping the championship leader at an arm's reach at this point in time, but they have traffic on the horizon, and it is Thomas McMillan.
Yeah, we saw Thomas McMillan getting a bit of a argy-bargy earlier on in the race, so I think James Scott's already through, which he is, so yeah, Blacklock and Briggs will have to navigate this. I'm not too sure how this track will go with lap traffic here. It is so narrow.
Yeah, and you can see how much Sam Blacklock's trying to attack. He's using all of his road tax. Then as he goes up the rise through Paper Mills and over towards the next section of road. So there's the gap to 4th place there, and the one that Mr. Corey Shepherd as they all take the rise. And this is a fantastic little camera angle from the top of the bridge here as they all rush up the hill.
Yeah, Corey Shepherd in a very lonely 4th. He's managed to really keep it clean this whole race as we see, here comes Taliancic through, on board with Rob Bowden as they come down the straight into Druids.
Clay Hill then, I'll correct myself then as they go on through, but you can see just how much they attack through Druids there. Lob George there at the moment in 10th, and he is looking backwards, and that's a big lock-up from Tom Freer just in front. He makes the corner though despite it, so I think he's really trying to use those tyres, and if he's not too careful, he'll start flattening them ever so slightly and use up all of the usable rubber that is available to them. He's got 2 seconds to Corey Preston. He'll be trying to chase that down, but 6 laps to chase, or 7 laps to chase right now. Never going to be easy to chase down any of the remaining battles here around this place. There's Josh Morris in the Team Hyperdrive car. Sam Collins there in the Team Hyperdrive car, and he will have mirrors full of Robin Kirk trying to go down the inside, and nope, not going to quite find it just yet. And there is James Chastaner trying to get back in, and there's a huge wiggle from Robin Kirk. Oh, captain, my captain, I need to find a move.
That is going to get Chastaner right on the back of them, so unfortunately for Chastaner, down the order from that, coming through the pit lane twice there before, but this battle up in front are definitely going to slow them up. So yeah, still with a fair few laps to go, Chastaner will be right in this pack in the next few corners.
Oh, another big wiggle from Robin Kirk. How many more times is he going to bite on those tyres before the bullet goes? So now on the brakes into the hairpin once again and up the hill. They've got to be so careful about running into mistakes here, especially in the final few laps, because this could be a case where those in the lower pack could run into troubles. Want to keep focused though to those battles going on a little further forward. Adam Briggs and Sam Blacklock still second and third. They're only just entering the hairpin right now. They've dispatched of Thomas McMillan, but ultimately Adam Briggs has not been in a place where he can attack and send a move down the inside. But this is encouraging because he's getting closer and closer with every lap.
Yeah, closer and closer with every lap. Just shaving a tenth off here and a tenth off there. So yeah, within half a second, hopefully that gives him that confidence. He's starting to get close enough to Blacklock that pull a little bit of a draft here and there, and hopefully can pressure Blacklock there into a mistake potentially.
Well, it's half a second right now, the gap. They head through the Druids corner, and now they head themselves towards the lodge, and hoping that this is going to be the Adam Briggs moment in the DPR camp. It's hoping that it's going to be a Sam Blacklock moment for the 1-2 when it comes to the camp of Oulton. So these two fighting it out. They'll have 5 laps to work it out, and that gap down to 0.3 of a second. Adam Briggs is starting to ratchet up the pressure here, and he knows better than anybody else does, Briggsy, that he's been working tirelessly to get into a position where he can challenge these sorts of drivers. His pace over the last 6 months has been nothing short of fantastic.
Yeah, absolutely excellent work there from Adam Briggs. So yeah, Blacklock will be looking into the mirror and just seeing that big white bonnet there of the Mustang behind him as they come down into their hairpin. Absolutely crucial, getting that power down nice and smoothly.
Yep, and this has been the key to Sam Blacklock. He's been good in the opening sector, and he just builds enough of a margin that Adam Briggs just cannot attack and find a way back through. More traffic on the horizon, though. That's going to be the key as they go through the Hislop section into Knickerbrook Corner, and now up Clay Hill. They will rise to the 36th time, and this is the big issue. Sam Blacklock is just able to carry slightly more corner speed, and Adam Briggs is falling slightly behind. There is the car they'll be having to lap next. That's Christian Smart in the Gone Road car, and ultimately a long, long way back. He's 3 laps down here in this event, but Blacklock here at the moment, he sees where Adam Briggs is and has him pretty much scouted at this stage, but it's going to take a mistake, I reckon.
Yeah, and they're getting really, really close to Christian Smart as they come through. So yeah, lap 37 now as they come into turn 1. Just holding that gap now. So yeah, Adam Briggs just chipping another tenth away now. So getting very, very close to the rear bumper there of Sam Blacklock.
And when you find yourself in a battle like this, time seems to slow. It seems like forever when you're racing and you've got a vehicle behind you and you're trying to count off laps and try and get yourself through and over the line and all home and safe. You can see the different lines taken down at the hairpin there. The shallow line from one Mr. Adam Briggs, the wide line from Sam Blacklock trying to open up the corner, and now they run down the hill once again into Hislops, and it just happens so quickly this lap. You've not got much time to breathe. There aren't many straights around this place, and even when there are straights, there's so many hills and stuff that go on that make life tough. And I think Rob Bowden's just lost a couple places here because Michael Kaliancic has found a way on through. So I caught that one on the timing tower. Bowden looking slightly slow and dropping places then down the order, and Thomas Hinds will want to get through for 14th late.
Yeah, looks like just a minor mistake there from Rob Bowden, and hasn't worked out too well as we catch back with second and third of Blacklock and Briggs. So yeah, that gap. Briggs looks like he's really just buying that time, not going too aggressive at the moment. Obviously not wanting to throw it away so late in the race. So
easy to do, and I believe that Thomas McMillan may have just retired the car from the race potentially, and that is correct. So McMillan is out, and that is not what he would have been hoping then from this one, with not many laps remaining here in the race. But second and third still on, and Adam Briggs is just trying to line up the move. This is the place, and oh, that's a mistake. That was the one place you did not want a mistake. Down at the hairpin, we know that Blacklock was trying that wide line, but just like that, Adam Briggs, the one chance he gets, and he takes it with aplomb.
yeah, you wouldn't think that Briggs was going to be handed that position so easily.
Oh, look
but
at
Blacklock, just missing the rear bumper there. So yep, Blacklock is going to be on a real charge to get that position back. They are getting pretty close now to where Christian Smart is.
That's really hampered him in terms of time. You don't often see a move on this layout, the island circuit layout at Knickerbrook Corner. That was very opportunistic from Sam Blacklock, but he couldn't quite find it. They've got 2 at the stripe to go on and get everything that they possibly can out of it. But Adam Briggs doing as much as he can for his championship. Second place will be a very decent points haul for him as he'll be trying to score again and again and hope that this will be one of his drop rounds over the course of the season. So eyes on this with 2 laps to go. Adam Briggs up to second after a Sam Blacklock mistake, outbraking himself at the island hairpin there. There is James Scott, your race leader, but Nick, you feel that if Sam Blacklock wants that 1-2 back, he'd start really attacking for it.
Yeah, that's exactly right. All eyes on Blacklock and Briggs. Just see Christian Smart just out of view there as we're looking down from the chopper camera. Hopefully that Blacklock was going to get that drive up over that hilltop, but he looks like it's just a little bit more of a gap behind him now.
And it's that buffer margin which now goes the other way. Blacklock trying to open up every single corner possible with 1 lap to go coming up. Then here at Oulton Park, round 6 of the championship. Pretty much this is the end of your iRacing week. It starts on Tuesdays, it ends on Mondays, and it ends here on Monday nights. Here with SimSpeed TV on the iRacing Esports Network. Now, make that push, make that progress here towards that Druids corner, and the last lap starting for James Scott then here in this event, down the hill, up the deer run, and the final lap goes, and the gap now up to half a second for Adam Briggs. He's just doing enough. Tom Freer is slow. Tom Freer is very slow. We're not going to know what quite happened there for him. It looks like a slowdown penalty then going through Knickerbrook corner, so that will really hurt him in terms of the run. There is your leader, James Scott. There's your championship leader, Adam Briggs, and there in the background is Sam Blacklock, who is just starting to just attack it a little bit too much to close the gap down, hoping that the traffic of Christian Smart is going to play a factor here on this long straight, not too long, but a long straight nevertheless, up the hill and back down towards the Hislop chicane section. Lights flashing from Adam Briggs. He's desperate. Please get out of the way. I've got to fight for second place here as they go on through the left to the right. And now this right-hander of Knickerbrook corner once more up the clay hill for the final time, hoping that there's still going to be a gap. There is still a chance here for Sam Blacklock. He's really closing the gap down, trying to get himself close, but there is one Mr. James Scott, a 2-time former champion in this series, heading himself through the Lodge corner and up the deer run for the final time. He has been unstoppable today. James Scott wins at Oulton Park, and contact, huge drama as Adam Briggs goes around. Sam Blacklock got into the side of him, and that is a very controversial 1-2 finish, unless he's stopping at the line to allow Adam Briggs back through, who will stay in 3rd place, but it is a short run to the line, and Adam Briggs just gets ahead there of Corey Shepard, and he won't be a happy man.
Yeah, pretty unfortunate there. It does look like Blacklock might have stopped there on the line, but he did end up crossing it there, so yeah, it does look like, yeah, looking at the lights, Tom Freer is out of fuel, so he will roll down the hill and over the line, losing a spot there to Rob Bowden. There might be another car. I know Thomas Hinz is... yeah, Hinzy just getting him on the line as well. So Tom Freer, we did have a few of the earlier races this evening of people running out of fuel, so it is something you do have to be pretty mindful of.
And Tom Freer will not be happy. That race went from great to good to, well, let's put this one in the back of the tank and hope that we don't see that one again. Let's get a Motum Simulation replay, though, of what happened between Blacklock and Briggs coming towards the end of that race. It was always looking like Blacklock was setting up for that last lap here, Nick. And what is key is just how much Adam Briggs did not need that bit of contact.
Yeah, just seen him come up over the hill now, so... yeah, as we saw earlier, so flash the lights there from Briggs on Christian Smart. I know it was, I think it was the second last corner, so we can see that run there from Blacklock.
Yeah.
On the back of Briggs here. As we see him come up over the straight now.
And this is going to be key. So they're going to go through Druid's corner right now, and this is where we cut away to your race leader. And Adam Briggs then just losing a little bit of time. He got very narrow through the mid part of the corner, and now having to defend it on the inside. Blacklock's gone big down the inside here, and the door was always closing from Adam Briggs, and ultimately there, that's a tough one to call, because you can't really tell. They hit so early before the apex there that you can't really tell whether Blacklock would have made the corner. He made it come the end, but look how late he is. He makes this move, lunges to the inside. Briggs tries to cover it. We catch it on the slow-mo, and I think Adam Briggs is just trying to shuffle a car down to the inside and take the racing line away from one Mr. Sam Blacklock. I think he just left the block too late.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there, Jake. He did cut across right at the very last minute and almost changed his line completely. So, yeah, pretty unfortunate there for Adam Briggs, but managing to save it for position 3.
He certainly did. Official classified results on screen. There are no stewards to reverse the decision here. So James Scott wins this one in 40 laps worth of racing action by 9.4 over Sam Blacklock. Adam Briggs coming home in 3rd position after controversy at the final corner of Lodge. Corey Shepherd then gets 4th place. Only just, though. He was 7/10 off of Adam Briggs come the end. Andrew Dyson will get 5th, the second of the simrigs.com DPR cars, with Jack Witter 6th and Damien Johnstone in 7th. Corey Preston had a very good race today in 8th place, with Kyle George in 9th and Darren Lobb rounding out the top 10 for the DPR team.
So missing out on the top 10, so Michael Telianchich and Rob Bowden, Thomas Him, Tom Freer running out of fuel there just before the line. Clint Shane Smith in a very quiet 15th. We didn't see too much of him. Brian Borg, Marty Hansen, Mitch McLeod, Josh Morris and Greg Sharp rounding up the top 20.
And then the final few drivers then in this event. Sam Collins in 21st, Robin Kirk in 22nd, and 2 stops for James Chastaner, who will be ruining the fact that he qualified so well in the race because he had the nearest grid stall to pit entry, which almost left him in a very unfavourable situation. 1 lap down for Neil Pearson, who is one of the last finishers with Christian Smart, and 1 retirement today being Thomas McMillan from this event. But we look over towards next week here, and Nick, this is going to be something really cool. This first half of the championship has seen many different winners, many different people coming up to the front of the field, and this second half now, for a bumper 13-week season, now needs 7 good races back to back to back. And with a series like this, where you're racing every single week, you don't get much time to think about the last race. You have to immediately shift focus to what you're doing next.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So I was just so pumped to see, Altus with the 1-2. What track are we at next week?
Well, I was just about to go and find that out. It's Virginia International Raceway. No surprises there after what's racing has been going on earlier on and what will be happening actually on Saturday, Sunday. So you're going to catch that one out. Sunday is going to be the key. Scops round 8 will be at Virginia International Raceway, and the only place you can catch that is the iRacing Esports Network. And of course, with SimSpeed TV presenting everything going on. But that's where the curtain closes for us here today. A massive thanks has to go out to Motum Simulations on the replays for us here today. From Jay Kennedy, from Nick Skarajev, and myself, Jake Sperry. It was a faultless display from James Scott, who picked up no less than where he left off, getting a race victory that he knows that he very much needs as car number 1, the highest I rating in the field. But his teammate got into blows with the championship leader. Not much love lost between those two. And it's all about focus now. Virginia will be coming up. And there are 2 very big races on the horizon where points become prizes. We'll see you in a week's time. And we'll also see you on Sunday as well for some amazing racing in your V8.
This is fantastic. This is GT racing right now. He's got traction. He's got really outside of both of them. Maloney.
Oh, he's taken Anderson. Anderson's up to
Oh my God. Big crash. Oh my goodness. Half the field's going to get rolled.
Second very close. These guys are want to make their way through the field very quickly.
Oh, here we go. Oh, no. That's massive. This is it. This is over. I can't believe this. Oh, my God.
God, what?